We good to go? All right. We're right at 1 o'clock. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. So the reason we're here today is we really want to talk about crime in our community here in the city of Roanoke. And, I think we move fast with getting information out to you guys, and we try to be responsive. And I think Hannah, our PIO, does a really great job with that. But something I think we've been lacking is really giving somewhat frequent updates on crime in our community. I mean, the actual crime numbers in our community, because I think that matters. So we're going to start doing that. Probably see us quarterly. All right. Right now, what you're going to see today are first quarter crime numbers, but the first quarter is year to date, right? So first 3 months of the year becomes the first quarter. So we'll try to do the same thing with the second, third, and so on and so forth, and do our yearly review. Before we were just kind of doing our yearly wrap up. All right, so we're going to start with the overall executive summary. So when you look at our community here in the city of Roanoke, total crime is down 23% for the first quarter year to date. Violent crime is down 28%, and our property crime is down in 22%. So strong downward trend across most categories. And Hannah will make sure this is available to you all after the press conference. We got that right, Hannah? Yeah. So when you look at violent crime, citywide 2025 to 2026, aggravated assault currently down 28%, domestic violence aggravated assault down 32%, rape is down citywide for the first quarter 36%, robbery down 29%, homicide, when you look at incidents, 5 to 5, no change. Same number of incidents as last year, but we have had two, and many of you reported on us, 2 double homicides. So sadly, 7 folks have lost their lives in 5 incidents, but those are the same 5 incidents we had, or the same numbers last year. Overall crime down 28% here in the city of Roanoke. So here we are, once again, 2025 to 2026 comparison. We're staying with violent crime here. For the ag assaults, these are the actual numbers, 53 to 38. So those are the 2025 to the 2026 numbers. Domestic violence aggravated assaults, we had 25 of those. 25 of those in 2025 versus 17 of those thus far in 2026. Homicide incidents, like I said, 5 to 5. Rapes, 11 to 7, 2025 to 2026. And then robberies, 21 to 15 currently in 2026. So property crime. And we're going to open it up to questions after all. So all the folks behind me, staff, as we answer your questions, I will call some forward to make sure they can participate here. So overall property crime for citywide 2025 to 2026, burglary down 18% so far this year, larceny down 19%. Motor vehicle theft down 47% citywide. It's a pretty large decrease there. Arson, no change. So exactly where we were last year in 2025 with arson. And overall property crime down 22%. So there's a breakdown of the actual numbers. Burglary, 87 of those incidents in 2025 versus 71 this year. Larceny, 650. It's always a primary driver of any city I've ever worked in. Larceny is always a primary driver of property crime, and that's versus 525 thus far in 2026. Motor vehicle theft, we got that huge decrease so far, knock on wood. And I think a lot of that, and we'll talk a little bit about that, have been some arrests we were able to make early on when trends started. And we had 88 of those in 2025 versus 47 thus far this year. And then there you go, arson flat, 5 to 5 incidents. So what we wanted to do is also break down our crime by quadrants and include our downtown core. Total crime down 37%. Motor vehicle theft down 100%. Arson 100%. I'm really not going to go through each of these. No reported crime in several categories, right? Homicide, DV, ag assault, rape, and robbery. I know some of you are thinking, well, what about the double homicide? That's right there on the cusp of our downtown and southeast. So I think southeast picks up that double crime-wise. Right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's not misinformation. That's just how we capture our core downtown. And consistent downward trend in core business district crime. And a lot of these areas experience double-digit decreases the last couple years. In our downtown, I don't have the numbers off the top of my head. Does anybody remember what we experienced overall in downtown crime last year? Anybody? No?
I think it was an overall reduction of, I think, somewhere around 50%.
Yeah, so we thanks, Adam, Deputy Chief Puckett. So we had pretty drastic crime decline in our downtown, and I attribute a lot of that to a lot of work, right? And I'll kind of go off script for a second. So we had our newly formed downtown unit that we started probably late summer of last year. So really started to have an impact, number of officers that just work our downtown areas, walking, biking, driving around there, dedicated downtown sergeant, and really continued to build some great relationships with business owners and managers, and our response just got so much quicker when a crime occurred. So I feel really good about our downtown efforts. Southeast, total crime down 17%. You can see for yourself there, burglary 59%, motor vehicle theft down 50%, rape down 50% in the southeast. And we did have an increase in robbery by 3 incidents and 1 increase in homicide year to date in our southeast area of our community. So as we move to the northeast, total crime down year to date 19%, robbery down 60%, larceny 16%, motor vehicle theft down 63%, arson 100%. No changes in aggravated assault, DV, aggravated assaults, homicides. So we had none last year, none this year to date. And increases in rape by 2 incidents in our northeast, and burglary by 1 incident in our northeast. Southwest portion quadrant of our city, 22% in overall crime year to date for 22-26. Ag assault down 33%, rape down 100%, robbery down 40%, larceny 31%, motor vehicle theft increase in the Southwest. So this is where we did experience a surge. We can answer your questions on that right after I'm through with this, but we moved quickly to make an arrest, which I think contributed to our overall decreases citywide in that. But that's where our spike was in the Southwest.
Yes.
Accurate in saying that, yep. So we had a spike, and the folks worked together, detectives, officers, and our I-STAR team to identify and move on that. Homicide, burglary, and arson, increase of 1 incident each in our Southwest. So Zone 4, or Northwest. Total crime down 31%. Violent crime down, oh, okay. Thanks. Kind of messed my impact up there. Thanks, Anna. Total crime down 31%. Violent crime down 54%. So of all the 4 zones or quadrants we have in the city of Roanoke, so far this year we've had our largest decreases in the northwest area of our city. And I don't ever want to say that one particular area is a driver of crime. I don't want to say that, but the majority of our gun violence, the majority of our violent crime historically has been in the northwest area of our city. So obviously we've been putting resources there. We do a lot of things there in the community. This week, my gosh, we had a number of our spring break events. We're at the community. Did we do 2 or 3 over there in the northwest this week? Jen, what do you think?
We did, one of our biggest ones was yesterday.
Biggest one, the Melrose yesterday, and probably a couple hundred folks were out there. So, we spend a lot of time, a lot of walks, a lot of resources, and we also do a lot of police work over there, right? We focus on offenders like we do in any area of our city. I think all that working together is starting to pay off for us. So 54% down in violent crime, and we've had reductions the last couple years when it comes to violence in our community, overall violence. But very proud of this, of the work we're all doing, and the community really is doing in Northwest. So double-digit reductions in all crime. Only burglary and arson did not have double-digit reductions in our northwest area of our city. Ag assault, DV ag assault, homicide, rape, motor vehicle theft down by 50% or more year to date in 2026, and not a single increase in any crime category in the northwest quadrant of our community. So, kind of some takeaways, and I'm going to open up to your questions. Citywide crime significantly reduced, violent crime trending downward overall, and we've seen, 2023 was a really tough year for us. 2022 wasn't great. Got here at the end of 2023, and we started building some things that I think are paying off, and the community had done some things that I think started to really pay off in 2024 and 2025. So violent crime trending downward, motor vehicle theft major success. Downtown and Zone 4 or Northwest are our strongest areas of reduction this year, and we need to continue to focus on our homicides and emerging spikes. No patterns in any of our homicides this year. I've got my great major crime sergeant in the back, and I know he doesn't want me to pull him into the camera, but I probably will later. But one thing that I think that we have done very, very well over the last couple years, and we're doing very well this year, when we have a homicide, we move quickly. We identify offenders, we make arrests, we try to get that information out to you all in the media and obviously in the community. And I think that's one thing that significantly deters that crime from happening in our community. And I believe we have identified all suspects in homicides this year, correct? Right? Not all currently cleared because we're doing some casework right now, and I'll open that up to questions. But right now, all those offenders have been identified. All right, so open it up to any questions you may have. I will bring others into the conversation. So thank you for your time today. Appreciate it. Thank you for everybody, certainly RPD folks as well for being here. So thank you.
Just some housekeeping, if when people are answering questions, if they can come up to the podium.
Okay, gotcha.
Just for the online audience.
Okay.
Crime seems to be down universally, but in particular with downtown, it seems like the public perception might be a little different.
Yeah.
Could you speak to that?
Well, you got to define that a little bit more for me, Lawrence. So, so 30 years in policing, 4 different areas of Virginia. Perception is something that we constantly have to wrangle with, right? Sometimes, many times, perception of crime in a community could be something as simple as an unhoused person standing on a corner or begging in a media, right? So many times when folks tell me, man, I've never seen crime so bad in the city of Roanoke, although I think we've had tremendous impact with how we are taking care of our unhoused community over the last year or so, sometimes that's the perception piece there. So that's kind of my take on that. I think something that's helping us with downtown, and I hear this a lot, Lawrence, as somebody who lives downtown and spends quite a bit of time downtown, especially from business owners. I think our visibility has gotten a lot better with the creation of the downtown unit and really having a team. We've got 2 officers that are down there quite a bit during the week, walking and on bikes. And our downtown sergeant, downtown lieutenant spend a lot of time connecting with business owners, making sure their voices are heard. I believe that is something we do to manage perception. When we created the downtown unit at the end of the last year, that was really, staffing has gotten better, no doubt about that. But at the time, we continue to have those challenges, and I decided we just couldn't wait anymore. We really had to put some resources in our downtown core. And I feel like that has impacted perception. Nothing's perfect. Anytime something happens in our downtown community, certainly if there's a violent crime down there, it's going to reverberate throughout the entire city, throughout the entire region, because it gets a lot of attention, but I feel like we've done decent. Obviously, the crime numbers speak for themselves, and I think we manage that perception each and every day.
For the most part, we're looking at big picture takeaways here. I did want to hone in on a specific incident from a couple days ago, the hit and run, just because flock technology was used in identifying a suspect very quickly. And you mentioned the swiftness, which apprehension in a lot of these cases has been happening as of late. Just anything you might want to add about flock technology?
And I like to bring somebody into the conversation with that one, if you don't mind. Big fan of that technology for us. I know it's become under scrutiny quite a bit nationwide and certainly here in the Commonwealth. But Adam, do you mind? Do you mind, or will step forward and talk about that?
And I'll talk for a minute on that.
Deputy Chief Adam Puckett.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. So when we're talking about the Real-Time Crime Center, I know that's specifically where we do a lot of our flock technology work from. What I want you guys to know is since inception, we've had 285 incidents. It's been supported by that, as well as this quarter, 99 incidents. Of those 99 incidents, we've had 31 vehicles identified using that. We've had 32 suspects identified. We've had 15 directly related arrests from that technology, as well as 27 video evidence captured. So we know that flock is a hot button topic. We have made sure that our policy is strictly enforced. We make sure we do the auditing. We make sure we do the deletion every 21 days as required. Flock actually does that for us. But it has become a very good tool for our investigators.
Speaking
Thanks,
of
Adam.
the Rock Center, can you just talk a little bit, I mean, what kind of impact has that had for you guys in trying to handle and solve some of these cases or finding suspects more quickly?
So for me personally, I think it's had great impact. That's the numbers that I gave you, but I will let Lieutenant Drake, who handles our criminal investigations, speak to that directly.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Just for the record, Lieutenant William Drake, I'm over our criminal investigations, specialized investigation unit. The flock technology has been such a huge tool for us, and the Rock. One of our most recent homicides we had on Burl Street, within minutes of that incident occurring, our teams immediately who work in the Rock began looking at video footage and were able to capture the suspect fleeing the scene, getting into a vehicle, and leaving the area. That information, that as soon as it comes to us, the faster it comes to us, the quicker our detectives are able to move on that information and intel. So it becomes a
Can I step in
huge
for a
piece.
second?
Yeah, Chief.
So I know some reporting was done recently about the business hours of the flock. So currently it's staffed by our iStar team who works Monday through Friday. In that specific case,
Yes,
our
sir.
analyst, our iStar team is always connected to what's going on in the city. So that was
Yeah.
precipitated by a call from probably our detective or our
Yes.
detective sergeant
Yep.
to make sure they were spun into action within
That
a
is
few, in a
correct.
few minutes. So I just
Yes,
want
sir.
to clarify
Yes, sir.
that.
So that, hopefully that answered the question, that the speed at which that information can come out to the officers and detectives investigating this is really what's helping us close these cases faster than what we have been in the past.
So just going off of what the chief just said there, so does that mean, are you guys still able to access and use all of the tools and everything with the Rock even outside of its hours?
Yes, sir.
Chief, you touched on this a little bit already, but I kind of want to go in a little bit more. You talked about identifying suspects in all of these homicide cases, but I want to talk a little bit about specific arrest numbers in relation to violent crime, specifically homicides, but violent crime in general. What are we seeing in terms of specific arrest numbers there?
Yeah, I don't have arrest numbers in front of me. I just have the reductions or increases or whatever. You guys have some of that?
Yes, sir.
So you want like raw arrests, the number of homicide arrests, or
Yeah,
just?
I'd love to have numbers, but even in general, just talking about, are we seeing more arrests? Because I know
Yeah,
in years past, that has been a big issue
Yeah.
of,
yeah.
trying to get arrests in
Yeah.
some cases.
Well, so I see where you're going with that. So I'm going to let Will step up and give some of those numbers and clearances here in a second. One thing that I would like to say, and coming here at the end of 2023, it's a great police department, it's a great community. I didn't feel like we moved as fast on some of these incidents as I really wanted us to. We did not put resources on the front end of certainly the non-fatal shootings. Now we have an entire shoot team that responds, right? And you have to put resources out there early on to identify suspects. It also has come up before about trust, right? In certain areas of the city, maybe folks have in all areas of the city, not everybody wants to talk to the police. So we have put a lot of time out there, not just walking, but investing in the community. And I would love, Jen, I want you to talk after Will comes up and talks about some of these numbers, just about some of the trust building things we've done over the last week. Do you mind?
No, absolutely.
Yeah, come on up, Will.
Yeah. Great question about homicide. So year to date, we've had 5 reported incidents. We have 4 suspects in custody for 5 of those. So the only one, we have one right now who's being held on other charges, and we'll be indicting him in May for homicide. But we have out of the 5 incidences, we have 4 people in custody for 4 of those. So great percentage. I mean, that's an 80% arrest rate for this quarter. And it really goes, I have to give a shout out as well, as Chief did, to our major crimes team. We have one of the most dedicated teams that I've ever seen in this department to moving to bring justice for the family and the community for these deaths.
That's exactly what I needed.
Okay. Well,
I did also want to follow up on that one homicide you just mentioned, because I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, that was the double outside the church. Just curious, why has it kind of taken a little longer to indict, and can you speak to what other kinds of charges that suspect's being held on, if not for that incident?
sure, that's a great question. So every homicide, we partner with the Commonwealth Attorney's Office on determining when and where the appropriate charges should be placed. So this has been a prosecutorial process to work with Mr. McNeil to say when the appropriate time is to charge that person. As everyone knows, Virginia has a code section in place now that requires speedy trial. So as evidence, as these cases are being built, and we have the ability to arrest someone on other charges to get them make the community safe and get them off the street, we will do so that we can extend that investigation time to be able to make sure we prove these cases beyond a reasonable doubt. He is being held right now on distribution of cocaine charges. Thank you.
And I just want Captain Boswell just to come forward. So Jen leads our Community Response Bureau. So, she is responsible, her team are responsible for the majority of really trust-building programming we're doing here in our community. So we haven't quantified that for today's briefing, but when you look at the overall events and things that we do, Jen, I'll let you speak to that. I'm not going to put words in your mouth.
Hey, Jennifer Boswell, Community Response Bureau, and we've had a busy week this week working with our community as well. And we've had a lot of success stories just this week alone. We had a lady yesterday. There was an incident last year. There was a death in her family. She walked up to us and said, "Hey, you remember me from this incident?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am. Very sorry that we met on in that regard." And she said, "I just want to say I love you. I love your team." And she went to all our team members yesterday and said, "I love you." And that's a powerful thing for us. She said, "I'm going to continue to come to y'all's things and thank y'all for being out here." And we've had kids walk up to us and say, "This is the best spring break ever." And I'm like, you think this is your best spring break, spending time with us in a park? And that's so great to hear from the community that's so valuable to them. Today they're at the skate center. We had 128 kids signed up to hang out and skate with us, and their parents are up there. Gives us an opportunity to talk to them without there being an incident and there being something heavy going on. We recognized a while back that we come in and it's their worst day when there is a homicide or robbery or something bad, and then we leave and then they're stuck there with no resources, right? So we've come in and tried to offer those resources and just say we're not forgetting you. And it's just been very powerful and helpful. We hired 2 community community specialist program. I'm gonna get my words right. To come in and help build those programs, and it's been so valuable. And just the positive feedback this week alone. It's been wonderful. And thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Jen. And before I take any more questions, but I want to give him the time to speak. So something I feel like gets lost many times in translation. And we have a great team, and we're doing some things different in investigations. We've talked about that, the speed and the resources that we put on the front end of a lot of these investigations. We've talked a lot about the ROC, the Real-Time Crime Center. But one of the things that we did last year that I'm a huge believer of, this is something my formative years as I came up in Richmond and moved through the ranks there. I took it to Danville, and we brought it here, is what we call neighborhood-oriented policing. And that's tied into our stratified policing model, how we use intelligence to respond to it, how our patrol officers use data. And a big part of that is before our mid-level managers, our lieutenants, were shift lieutenants. Now they are zone lieutenants. And really the person who heads that up is Captain Ashby, and he's under operations with Deputy Chief Puckett. But I want Captain Ashby to really speak, since he's been there from the beginning, with how we've kind of built that model and what that model does as far as how we respond to crime and how we build trust. If you don't mind, Andrew, if you could move forward.
Thank you. Andrew Ashby, I'm the Patrol Bureau Captain. So we switched to neighborhood-oriented policing in late 2024. We had platoon lieutenants at the time who were responsible for shifts. We made the move to neighborhood-oriented policing, so we had lieutenants over each sector of the city, all 4 sectors. And we've seen huge success with that. I think that played out last year with our crime numbers for sure. Really been going well. The big change is, so we wanted to obviously work on reducing crime. We also wanted to meaningfully engage our community, right? So now each sector of the city has a lieutenant who's specifically assigned to that sector. And when it comes to accountability, if there's a crime spree in that area, if there's a problem address, that lieutenant is responsible. And what we've seen is that accountability has really come a long way, because every month they have to get up in front of the chief and explain to the chief what's going on in their sector of the city and what they're doing to fix it. Another big thing is, if you live in Northeast and you have a neighbor who you think is selling drugs, you have direct contact with that lieutenant. He's got a cell phone, you can call him. That lieutenant is going to be responsive to you and handle your problem. So we've seen a lot of success with that. We're going to keep moving that forward and making it better. We're getting it all the way down to the granular level as far as just addresses with elevated calls for service to see what we can do to make those neighborhoods better. So we've seen a lot of good response from communication and crime reduction, and we're going to keep that moving forward.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. All right. Sorry to interrupt your flow. Many more questions?
Speaking of moving forward, as we're down for this first quarter, but we are moving into those summer months, school's about to get out. How do we keep this momentum going as we move into these warmer months when kids are out of
So
school?
good question. Yeah, good question. You can never get complacent, right? One thing is like nails on a chalkboard to me is we're just going to handle each call as they come in, right? We have to be proactive. So we have some things planned for the summer months, right? We have some things that we won't really speak to directly, specifically today. Partners with our federal agencies, with Virginia State Police, things that will make sure that we are seen and heard out in our community. We'll make sure that we arrest those identified violent offenders early on, because you're right. I've yet to work in a community where crime doesn't increase in the summer months. Folks are out. Obviously, access to firearms is a thing, not just in our community, but everywhere, and usually violent crime will increase. So we're going to be very proactive with that. Our stratified policing model forces us, everybody, from the chief down to that line level officer detective, to look at crime and crime sprees kind of as they occur. So that's something, regardless of whether it's winter, summer, spring, or fall, we do on a daily basis. And then every month, we all come together, and every captain, lieutenant, and deputy chief, and we talk about what we're doing in those areas. So I think that model right now is really working well for us. True believer in that. And I'm super excited to see kind of how we continue to operationalize iStar and the ROC working together, our crime analyst and our ROC center. So I think all that's going to help out. But you're going to see some partnerships out there kind of running and gunning here in the next month or so. Okay?
Time for 2 more questions.
Chief, did just want to ask, I know this is something that's a little bit out of you guys' hands, but obviously you guys have had a lot of success here. But the city obviously is also going through a budget crunch and a situation. I know at the last budget meeting I went to, they talked about some of what may have to come out of you guys' budget as far as some of the community engagement stuff. Are you concerned at all about that, and how do you plan to kind of address whatever cuts you guys may face?
Well, it's always harder, right, to do anything when you have limited funds, right? A lot of things, how we respond to crime, how we build out community engagement, many times is tied to funding. Sometimes we just have to do, I hate to say it, more with less. And I think that everybody standing behind me, everybody in the back of the room, everybody here at RPD, sworn and non-sworn, have learned that we're going to be sharp and agile, and we're going to make it work. So even in times of lean funding, I will tell you this: if there's a homicide, if there's a shooting in our community, if there's something that needs us, we will be there. And for said homicide, for said shooting, I'm going to get those resources out there. So if we have to pull money from other places, we certainly will, but I want to make sure that we are relentless in arresting those folks. The only way you keep, and I know the homicides, obviously we had some challenging weeks, right? And folks were reporting on that. And I always say it's too early. Let's wait for the numbers to kind of settle down. And we might, when we come together in a few months, knock on wood, hopefully not, some of these things will have changed, maybe drastically. Sprees happen. Crime happens in communities. But we will do everything we can on the front end and after it occurs to make sure it doesn't, regardless of budgetary constraints.
We move into the summer break, and we're going to have kids out of schools, as Abby mentioned. I know for the year-end stats this past year, we did have a breakdown by age. You may not have those numbers specifically off the top of your head, but trend-wise and just in general, how is crime, the downward trend we're seeing overall, is that kind of keeping the same type of pace among youth? Just best you can.
Yeah. Guys, have we seen, anybody want to speak to youth? Let me have Captain Thiel talk about that. Eric leads our investigations bureau.
Hey, how you doing? Captain Eric Thiel of the Criminal Investigations Bureau. So I can speak specifically to gun-related crime. In terms of year-to-date, our most recent meeting with the Gun Violence Prevention Commission, we keep track of all those statistics and break down the demographics as well for those involved, both victims and suspects. And I believe at this point we did not have any victims or suspects under the age of 21 for any of our gun-related incidents at this time, and that's going from beginning of this year to this current quarter. So, obviously those are tracked on an incident by incident basis. But to Chief's point, in terms of any correlation between any of those incidents, there hasn't been. So there have not been any retaliatory shootings or anything at this point that we have any evidence to be able to link together to say one was precipitating of the other.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate that. All right, so that's going to be it. And what we're going to try to do, our pledge to you, in the spirit of transparency and accountability, every quarter we're going to come back together and have these conversations. I would rather you hear it from us than kind of make those opinions on your own, or Lawrence, just by somebody walking down Main Street, right? Sometimes we can put some context in there, and whether we're managing crime questions or talking about perception, I think it's very important that you hear from us and hear it from me directly. All right, so that's our pledge to you. So thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming today.